Hello friends, welcome back to another No Chin Deluxe Nocturne video. This is actually not a gameplay video as you can see on my screen, and I have one of those coming up for you, but I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of go over this patch 8.11 early look post that Riot made a couple days ago. There were a couple things in here with the new keystones and the new items that I thought would be really interesting to look at how they affect Nocturne and his gameplay. So I want to just kind of take an opportunity here to maybe go through some of these notes and maybe discuss just what I'm thinking about some of the upcoming changes that they're going to be making in patch 8.11. So let's get right into it. So the first thing is this rune change, right? Hail of Blades. It's a domination keystone. It's for quick fights. Your first 3 basic attacks against champions in combat gain bonus attack speed. These attacks can exceed the attack speed limit. There are a lot of people out there that see Nocturne as a melee champ, someone who relies on auto attacks, and so I think even when you play Nocturne in game, the Riot recommended build is to build the Bloodrazor jungle item on him so that you get increased attack speed. I've always been against an attack damage or an auto attack based Nocturne build just because the whole point of Nocturne as an assassin is to jump into a fight and just obliterate a squishy carry, right? He's never sitting there just auto-attacking over and over again like a Master Yi or something like that where you're having duels with people in a lane or something like that, right? He's always going to use his ult to get to the back line. He's going to burst the squishy characters instantly and then try to get out. So to me, an attack speed based Nocturne build is not ideal. I think if you were going to go for an ADC build on Nocturne, this actually wouldn't be a bad keystone. So if you were thinking about building Bloodrazor and maybe some, like a Phantom Dancer and a Ghost Blade and things like that, this is probably going to be the right keystone for that. Although we have the precision runes that are probably better suited for gaining more attack speed. So I feel like this is kind of in a weird middle ground where, hey, precision is all about attack damage based champions, but now there's this weird domination keystone where it also does attack speed, attack damage type stuff. So I think it's kind of a weird mix. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see how people react to this when it's released. I'm sure some people will go on PBE and test it out. But it'll be interesting to see if any people that play ADC will actually switch to this over some kind of precision build instead. So I think my thoughts on this is that this keystone is probably not going to be as useful in Nocturne. I think I'm going to stick with the Electrocute burst build because that's really the only thing that makes sense for the way that at least I play Nocturne. And again, you know, other people may go for the attack speed crit build, which is okay. I mean, if that works for you, that's fine. I've just found that whenever I try to sit there and auto-attack somebody, I'm too squishy, I'm too slow. Nocturne doesn't have a lot of mobility other than his ult. So I want to use that ult to the best that I can, which is to get to the backline quick, kill somebody instantly, and then try to escape or try to help the rest of my team. So for me, I don't think Hail of Blades is going to be the right build for a Nocturne. I'm going to stick with the Electrocute, but I wanted to kind of mention it as maybe a possible successful build on Nocturne, maybe. So we'll see how it plays out, but I'm not planning on switching to it right away. So the next thing I want to look at is, well, there's Infinity Edge. So again, I don't build Nocturne as an ADC. If you're going for some kind of crit build, then this item could be good for you. So they took away the critical strike chance, and it also no longer gives you that 250% damage on critical strikes. But what it does is it doubles your critical strike chance. So you would build this if you're building other crit items. And then also it gives you a little bit of extra true damage based on your critical strike. So again, this isn't really a great item for Nocturne just because I think you're going to have to build other crit items in order to even get this double crit strike chance on it. So unless you're going to go for a super squishy all damage ADC build on Nocturne, I don't think this item's going to be too good for him. I am wondering how this actually works with Yasuo, because isn't his passive to double his critical strike chance? So I wonder if this quadruples it or something. I don't know. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But anyway, I don't think Infinity Edge is something that we need to be worried about for Nocturne. Okay, and then finally, real quick, the STORMRAZOR. This is a cool item. just from the headline here, you can tell this thing was made for Nocturne, right? Hit hard, then hit fast. That's exactly what we want to do on Nocturne. We want to hit hard first. We want to burst someone down, and if they don't die from our initial burst, then we want to hit them fast, right? We want to make sure we kill them as quickly as possible if they're not already dead. So this is a really cool item. It's you get attack damage, which it's building out of a BF sword, so the attack damage is probably going to be somewhere in the, I don't know, 60 to 70 attack damage range. It gives you attack speed with a dagger in there. I'm guessing probably around 20% or something like that. And then here's the passives. These are what make it really interesting. So the unique passive number 1 is that if you haven't attacked recently, your next basic attack will critically strike. So this is really interesting. Nocturne is all about this, right? He's going to be setting up a gank. He'll just be running around. Like what I usually do is I'm going to get myself in position, right? I'm not sitting there attacking creeps and then just jumping into a fight, right? I'm kind of lurking in the bushes. So I'm pretty much always going to have this passive available when I'm using this. And then when I ult in, my first basic attack is going to be triggering my electrocute. Plus, it's going to be triggering Duskblade. So that's all at burst. Plus, you have other options like Dead Man's Plate has a burst effect to it. Triforce has a burst effect to it. And then on top of that, this item, the STORMRAZOR, would actually have additional burst by making your auto attack critically strike, which means it does a 100% extra damage. It's double damage on your auto attack. So to stack all that up together, you're just going to be doing massive amounts of burst. I actually think, I know that there's a lot of clickbait titles out there for YouTube videos, my own videos included, right? But I think this could actually make Nocturne a little bit OP. The same way Duskblade kind of made him a little OP, and they had to nerf that as well. So it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out. The other passive they have here is when you critically strike, which you're going to do that if you trigger this passive. When you critically strike, gain a short burst of attack speed and movement speed. So think of the way Nocturne's kit works, right? His E will fear his target, and when you get that fear off on Nocturne, you get a burst of movement speed towards that feared target. So he gets like a massive movement speed boost. So that's going to be enhancing that. And then on top of that, you're getting extra attack speed from your W, and then you're getting extra attack speed from this thing too. I just feel like this item is just everything Nocturne wants in an item. But here's the key. Here's the catch too, right? Is when you're building Nocturne, my core build is usually Warrior Enchant jungle item. Duskblade is always rushed first, and then lately I've been doing Asterix Gauge for my third item, just to give me a little more bulk and to also increase some of my damage, my base damage, and also it gives you the extra shield when you dive people. I feel like that's such a core build for Nocturne's mid game that I don't know where I would build this, right? Because if I rushed STORMRAZOR, then I would have to not rush Duskblade, and so I'll probably have to do some tests in the test the training area, right, to see like what the actual numbers are. But I'm guessing that Duskblade is still going to be the better option for bursting targets as an assassin. So if I'm still rushing Warrior first and I'm still rushing Duskblade as my first main item after jungle items, what do I do now? If I do STORMRAZOR, yes, I'm going to have like massive burst, right? But I'm going to be really, really squishy because I'm missing out on that extra health and those extra shields that the Asterix Gauge gives me. So I'm not really sure where to build this. I could build the Asterix, and then I could build the STORMRAZOR after that, but I feel like by the time you get to your fourth item, and that's not including boots, but by the time you get to your fourth item, you're kind of getting towards the late game, right? You're approaching that maybe 30-minute mark. Is a STORMRAZOR really going to help you at that point? Like, if you haven't snowballed by then, I'm not sure that just buying an all-damage item at that point is going to be the best thing for you. Usually by this time in the game, I'm buying defense items, right? Because I've already had a strong mid-game, and now I want to transition into a full-out bruiser by the end game, so that way when I dive people, I don't just get one-shot by their tanks or whatever, right? So I think STORMRAZOR is a really, really strong-looking item for Nocturne. I just don't know where it would fit in a build, because I think in order to use it, you'd have to give up Duskblade as an early item. Like, I feel like Duskblade and STORMRAZOR kind of compete for the same thing. So I think it's going to come down to the numbers, and I think Duskblade's probably going to win out, because if you rush this item first, then the only extra burst you're getting is a critical strike on your auto attack. And so think about it. You're not going to have tons and tons of AD 15 minutes into the game, right? So if you're rushing STORMRAZOR first, you're not going to have a huge amount of AD to actually critically strike with. So I'm thinking Duskblade is going to win out on that, but I don't know. This seems like a really interesting item. I think a lot of people are going to build it on Nocturne, and I think if you got really fed and you were snowballing hard, you could probably build this with a Duskblade and a Warrior Enchant, and you would just be absolutely unstoppable. I mean, you'd literally just be hitting people once, and with the Electrocute proc, plus your Stormrazor proc, plus your Duskblade proc, and then add on to that something like a Static Shiv, a Deadman's Plate, a Triforce, any of that stuff, you're just going to be stacking burst on burst on burst, and you're just going to be erasing squishies. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited to try it. Unfortunately, I don't have PBE access anymore. Riot removed my account because I hadn't been using it much. So looking forward to seeing how these new items and new rooms are going to work. And as soon as they're released, I'll try to get some videos out to test some new builds. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And please comment below what you think about these items and these changes. And maybe if you think they're going to work really well in another champion besides Nocturne, let me know what you're excited about. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.